Hello, BookTube. I know I said earlier today that you'd be done with me until tomorrow, but the guys at Strip Cover Lit tagged me, and I'm, of course, still a desperately needy newbie who cannot fail to respond to a tag. And as we read in the book of Deuteronomy, let not the sun go down on thy latest BookTube tag. This is the New York Times by the book tag. They tagged me without, I guess, realizing that I'd done it before, but it's one of those tags that changes with every time you do it. So it's perfectly fair game. In addition to which, I absolutely love repeating myself. So I thought I'd get right to it. Their video doing the New York Times by the book tag was hilarious. I'll link to it below. It's well worth your time to watch, despite the fact that it contained a shrieking note of hypocrisy, because they're perfectly happy to self-satisfiedly say that on our channel we like to say read everything. But when it came time to mention the novels of Debbie Macomber, we don't read those. We don't even think about it. You know, guys, if you're watching this, I might point out that Debbie Macomber is a wonderful person who sold millions of books to people who made a real difference, and her novels are as solidly built as Shaker furniture. On top of which, when she laughs at something, you can hear her all the way from one end of a book expo room to the other. Might not be the worst pursuit of an afternoon for you to take one of those books from the Significant Other's shelf and read it, just to see what millions and millions of people find so appealing. But anyway, let's go to question number one. What book is on your nightstand now? Well, I'll show it to you, but it's a sad occasion. It's this. It's New Frontier, the absolutely great graphic novel by the artist and writer Darwin Cook, who imagines the canonical characters of the DC universe in the 1940s, 50s, and 60s with real time happening all around them. And the reason it's sad is not because the book isn't great. The book is absolutely fantastic if you see this and you're a comic book fan. Don't deny yourself the pleasure. No, the sad part is that Darwin Cook just died. That's why it's on my nightstand in the first place, because he died at the age of 54. I watched his entire career from beginning to middle to now end. Very sad and disorienting, too. Question number two. What was the last truly great book you read? Again, this is going to be a little surprising, but I call him like I see him. It's this. It's Gene Edward Smith's biography of George W. Bush. A genuine, historical, scholarly biography of a president who's not only recent, but still alive and in prime health. As far as I can recall, that's never been done before, and except for, I can give one example, a book that was written when Theodore Roosevelt was still very young, just out of office, by an American novelist, who was also a friend of his. But that book made no pretense of historical objectivity. This book is incredible. It reads like it was written 100 years from now. I'm still shopping around to try and get somebody to pay me to review it, but I'll review it anyway for open letters if they don't, because it's an utterly remarkable achievement. I don't think it's the final word that history will have on George W. Bush, but it feels like a very big step in that direction. Truly impressive. Question number three. If you could meet any writer, living or dead, who would it be and what would you want to know? I wouldn't so much want to know something as I'd want to do something. I would like to meet Jack Kerouac and smack him, just like I did years and years ago in a dive bar in Lowell, Massachusetts. I would want to meet Ted Hughes and smack him, just like I did years and years ago in a ratty little apartment in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And most of all, I think, especially after the hero worship on the Strip Cover Lit video, I'd want to meet Kurt Vonnegut and smack him, just like I did at a garden party in Iowa City, Iowa, years ago. They all three deserve it, and the dead can't sue. Question number four. What books might be surprised to find on my shelves? My answer this last time was that I'd like to think I'm such an eclectic reader that you wouldn't be surprised by anything on my shelf. But it occurs to me that the books that have elicited surprise when people have found them, I have a little bit of a sweet tooth for 9/11 conspiracy theory books. And so you will find all of the big names in that movement Webster Tarpley, David Ray Griffin wrote a shelf of these things. And that sometimes tends to surprise people. They sometimes tend to ask me all about that. Maybe I'll make a video about it. Or 10. Question number 5. How do you organize your personal library? Well, most of my books are organized by type. Graphic novels altogether, science fiction altogether, history altogether, biography altogether. The only ones that are really strict are my workbooks, the forthcoming books that I have here. And those are organized by month, and not only by month, but a column for the first 15 days of the month and the column for the 17 days of the month. And I'm going to attempt to show it to you. So bear with me here. Here we go. That is them. Those books on top. That kind of sort of worked, didn't it? Let's see here. Question number 6. What books have you always meant to read but haven't read yet? Anything you feel embarrassed never to have read? My answer stays the same. None and no. Question number 7. Disappointing, overrated, or just not good? What books do you feel you were supposed to like but didn't? And again, I have to say, I utterly reject the peer pressure implied by that supposed to. Nobody tells me what I'm supposed to like or not supposed to like, or you either. You like something, cheer it from the rooftops, but there's no duty involved here. Question number 8. What kinds of stories are you drawn to? Well, I like all kinds of stories, but the thing I like, the quality I like that I'm drawn to is for an author to mean what they're doing. I don't care if it's the spy thrillers of Ted Bell or the literary novels of Hanya Yanagihara, or for that instant, I may say, the romance novels of Debbie Macomber. As long as the author means it, as long as they're not phoning it in or, pimping for an audience, then I'll read, and we'll see where that takes me. Question number 9. If you could require the president to read one book, what would it be? Well, unfortunately, I know exactly who America's next president is going to be, and although there's no chance that he would ever do it, I would recommend that he read Harry Frankfurt's little book on bullshit. But that's not going to happen. And let me offer, to those of you who aren't living in America, let me offer a preemptive apology for the next 8 years. And question number 10, the last one, what are you going to read next? And those will be the books on my nightstand tonight. The first one of which is a gigantic new novel called Surrender, New York, by Caleb Carr, the author of The Alienist. This one is set in upstate New York, I believe. Many dedicated years working for the NYPD didn't mean much when criminal psychologist Trajan Jones was fired from the force. Now living in exile on a dairy farm in upstate New York, Trajan is reduced to teaching an online course in criminal investigation alongside his partner Mike Lee, an expert in DNA evidence. But Trajan is called back to duty when a friend in county law enforcement consults him on the suspicious death of several local kids. I not only approve of fish out of water detective stories like that, I also approve of the suspicious death of local kids. So there you go. It's win-win. And the next book, the other book that I'll read tonight, will be The King's Revenge. This is by Don Jordan and Michael Walsh. It's the story of the extended manhunt that King Charles II exacted on the men who had executed his father, King Charles I, despite the fact that for years before his restoration to power, Charles II said he would not do that. And actually, one of the conditions of his restoration was that he would not do it, but it didn't matter. It wouldn't matter to you either if it was your father who was beheaded. I read a book on this exact same subject last year or the year before by Charles Spencer, the 9th Earl Spencer, the brother of Princess Diana, who wrote a book called The Killers of the King. And he came to Boston. He came to the Boston Athenaeum to give a talk, and he and I had arranged an interview for after the talk, and we had the interview, and we had a Guinness, and we had another Guinness, and the interview didn't really happen, but what a time it was. And as I think I've mentioned, maybe not on this channel once before, that is not the first time that I got schnockered with a member of the British aristocracy. And it was a lot of fun. It looks to me on first blush that this book is going to be considerably more scholarly than than his was. But we'll see. I'll know by this time tomorrow. And there you have it. That's the New York Times by the book tag. Part deux. And I tag Peter at Peter Likes Books, brand new channel, but very lively. Whitney at Witty Novels. And Kate at Kate Howe. I don't think, I looked first, and I don't think any of them have done this tag, although almost everybody else on BookTube has, and I think that's wonderful. And there you have it. Now this, I promise, will be my last appearance for today. I'll see you tomorrow on BookTube. Thank you.